Absolutely. All right. We will get our friend Philly 500 on at 4:30. And I heard the guys having a great conversation today. Guys, I appreciate it. Please do me a favor and hit that like button. And I do like that kid Pierce. I heard those guys talking. John, really great stuff too all day long, you guys. And I love the fact that Zander jumped on the Slay release. So, guys, make sure you check out that show each and every single day, Birds 365. Without further ado, the co-host of that show does a great job with John McMullen, our friend Zander Krause. Big Z, how you doing, brother?
What's up, Big Sills? How you living over there, brother?
All good, man. Hook me up on it. What do you think?
Of Slay?
Yeah.
I want him back. I want him back because I don't think the alternative is that much better. Obviously, I understand that you're in a spot here where, look, here's what I said earlier. I think even if the Eagles came into the offseason on February 10th after they won the Super Bowl and Howie met with the front office and he said, we want to bring Slay back, what happened today was necessary anyway because they weren't going to bring him back on that other deal. So this was a necessary thing that was going to happen. I'm not ready to say he's out for good. I would like him back because, I just haven't seen it yet with Keely Ringo and even Isaiah Rodgers on a larger scale. So I'm not saying I'm not confident in those guys, but I'm saying while you have a moment to look at the options, I think Slay is still the better option for a team that's trying to repeat as Super Bowl champion. So I still want Slay back, but we'll see what happens. And look, if somebody comes in and gives him a bag of money, he's earned it. He's entitled to take it. So we'll see what happens, but I don't think this story is over just yet.
I think there's three sandboxes: the draft, free agency, and your own. And I feel more comfortable with my own if I'm in this conversation about Slay. And I mean this, like you said, do I want to go in free agency and overpay for a guy to bring a guy in to cover the loss of Slay? I don't really think there's anybody out there that makes me or entices me to want me to do that, to spend any kind of frivolous money. Why would I have cut Slay if I was going to do that? There's not really dudes out there for me to go like this. Well, I'm going to cut Slay and sign this guy from the Chargers. I'm not that interested in that. I'm all right. The only problem we had with Slay last year, and you and I were both right, he was good, but he was hurt. Now, I'll take that, okay, at a reduced salary. I don't like the 12, okay?
12's too steep.
Yeah, to me, Zander, I heard you say 10. I think that's high.
I think 8. 8 would be my max.
8 makes me feel good that Howie would land on a 1-year, $8 million deal. Plus, could I have maybe gotten him at 7? Probably. But because he was such a great player since I made the trade, and he still got juice in the tank, I'm doing the 8. And I think that, because I would say this, Darius, where are you getting $8 million in the open market for a 34-year-old corner? New England? Sure.
Yeah, and here's the other thing.
Go to shitty teams? You want to retire in New England?
Even if he gets 10 mil, like you're talking about a lot of uprooting on someone's life. And
no doubt.
Taxes, depending on where you sign. Like sometimes it all equals out to be the same freaking thing over the course of the span. So it could be interesting to see. The one other thing I would say about Slay is I value that older presence more than other people I think do. And I get it. It's a young man's game. You got to get younger, but we got younger. Like now that you got younger, you got the young guys in the room. I value the older guy to come in there and teach them. Is it any coincidence, Sills, that the two draft picks that we drafted in the secondary in the first and second round last year both had really unbelievable rookie seasons and were major contributors on a Super Bowl team, both having said all throughout the year, we've learned so much from Slay, and Slay has talked about how he feels like he should be teaching the young guys. I'm not saying it's the only reason. I'm not taking away from what those guys are, but is it a coincidence that two guys came into this team as rookies and played as well as they did with a guy who might be Canton bound, maybe not, but close in Slay was helping him out? I mean, I value that. I think that's a big thing. So I'd welcome Slay back. But look, it does take both sides to tango, so we'll see how it goes.
You think Vic wants him back?
I think Vic wants him back. I think Vic is a guy who values experience because he's experienced. You know, he wants to talk to a guy that knows everything about the game of football, everything about defenses, has seen everything. I mean, maybe Vic wouldn't want him as his number one starter, but I know Vic Fangio would value what his presence means to that locker room.
Remember this, dude. He took out Bryce Huff and put a 34-year-old edge rusher in.
Yeah.
Because that guy was going to be productive and he can trust him. What's the difference between Brandon Graham playing edge and Slay playing corner at the same age? I don't think there's any difference in his mentality on how he sees the game. That's why he said he's like a fine Dago wine. He just keeps getting better.
Well, you know, it's another misconception, I think, Sills, when stuff like this happens is I think there is a general misconception that younger is always better. Younger is not always better. Like I saw someone say, well, you haven't seen Keely and Isaiah play. How could you know they're not good? And I'm like, that's my point. Like you made my point. I know I haven't seen them play. That's why I don't want to go into the season with them as my only option, because I'm not putting another Super Bowl window season up in the hands of, with all due respect, Keely Ringo and Isaiah Rock. I just don't feel better about that. I don't feel better about that. So that's why I want Slay back, but I get it. Business is business, and sometimes you draft guys and you need them to eventually step up. Maybe that's what's happening with Keely Ringo. I wouldn't feel too great. Now, if that's what it ends up being, I'm going to have confidence in those guys because Vic Fangio already proved it last year in terms of making young guys who don't have a lot of experience play well, but I'd feel a lot better if Slay was in that room.
Here's where I'm at here with this also. He has proven to you he's going to drop a rookie corner, play him and start him, and he's going to play that guy. If Keely Ringo and Isaiah, by the way, Rodgers, I thought was a good swing corner last year for the Eagles.
Right.
I thought he did a nice job in that.
I did too, but as a swing corner, you like him in 21 games?
No.
I don't either.
But I surely don't like if Keely Ringo couldn't get on the field. Vic's telling you he's not ready to get on the field, or he would have played him.
100%.
He started a fucking rookie at corner 2. I mean, he had no, by the way, after the bye, he had no problem taking a very experienced Avonte Maddox out of that nickel slot and then dropping Cooper DeJean in. So if people are going, well, you got to see the young guys playing. If the young guy couldn't get on the field, that's because the young guy wasn't good enough to get on the field. One thing Vic Fangio has shown last year, Bryce Huff he's the poster child for it. You know what it is? If you're good, you're going to play. If you're not, you're not. I don't care if you've got 14 years or 4 minutes. This is who I play. And that's why they won, were the number 1 defense in the league, because he's got the mentality. And I'm going to tell you, now I know why Dolphin guys were so fucking pissed off at him with that attitude. Do you understand when a coordinator has that mentality? You don't get to start and play because you have tenure and you have the resume. He starts you because you work hard in practice, you're coachable, you listen, and you're productive. All of that. The guys in Miami didn't want to do any of that. I've been on so many teams where guys who have 14 years in the league, they just assume that you have to give them that role and that chair in the room. Vic doesn't look at it. Hey, Bryce, you signed an $18 million deal? Fuck, I'm going to play the guy over here that is guy making $2.5 million. I'm playing him. I'll play the 3rd rounder before I play you. That's a mentality of what won for you last year. That is good coaching.
Yeah, and if Vic has proven that time and time again, like what? That's why you bring up a good point about Ringo. Like, if you trust Vic to play all the right guys at all the other positions, then trust him on Keely Ringo too. Keely wasn't ready, you know? So, look, this is another one of those complex issues. And this is where I wonder what Howie's mentality is, because I think when you look at the 22 season and you look at even the Super Bowl we won in 17, 18 off season, Howie made mistakes after those years, right? Of maybe trying to keep people too long in terms of that 2018 team.
Yes, sir.
22, I think maybe, I don't know what he would have looked at there.
How many free agents in 22?
Right, free agents in 22. So I don't know, like how much is that going to affect what he does? Now, I think every situation is different and every player is different, but I do wonder if he looks at specifically that 2017 Super Bowl team and is like, hey, we kept some guys too long there because we thought the window was open.
Right.
I think this Slay situation is slightly different because you've already recouped the young talent you need in terms of Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell. But every situation's different, and we'll see how he does. But I do wonder what he thinks about, learning from those mistakes from those previous years.
Let me go to Debo here. Dude, I wrote this down about him. Okay. The number is high, 17 million. Is he the same player he was 2.5 years? No. Now, what role is he going into? He's not a number one. He's the number two, at times maybe even going to be a number three because of the way they're going to use him. That's the way San Francisco used him. Dude, the top targets in San Francisco the last 3 years have been Ayuk, McCaffrey, and Kittle. And he's been kind of like the Swiss Army knife kind of guy. Jet sweeps, running the ball in the slot, on the perimeter. That's how they used him. A year ago, did anybody in San Francisco outside of Fred Warner play well? Hufanga, but nobody did. Okay? No excuses. Not saying that. He's not the same player. But now you've got Terry McLaurin and him. That improves your wide receiving core. Now, does that move the sticks in any way to make people go, hey, now look, they're starting to get that's not a game-changing move. It makes you better. It doesn't make you a Super Bowl team. But the more you accumulate guys like this, and then you add Garrett. So if you add Garrett, Becton, and you add Debo Samuel, now you're talking about a collection of dudes like how we did a year ago, adding all those free agents, Becton, Baun, Barkley. Bro, you start adding a group of them dudes.
Yeah.
That's how I'm looking at that.
I think you make good points. Here's what I'd say, all right? And I don't agree with you on everything, but I do think you make good points when you talk about the collective that's going to happen. This isn't the only move that they're going to make. It's the collective that you're going to talk about. Here's where, objectively speaking, I like this move if I'm a Commander fan, all right? I like that it's a one-year deal with Debo because you don't know what the player is going to be. He did have his worst year, basically since coming into the league last year. So you're not committed to the guy long-term. You're going to be able to see him in action before you commit long-term. From a Commander perspective, I like that. Second thought is they have so much cap space, and with a rookie or a quarterback that's playing as well as he is on a rookie contract,
Next 3 years.
This is when you make moves. This is when you pay big money for people. Now, he's not particularly the guy I would have paid, but because of the 1 year, because of only the 5th round pick, I do think it's a good move from that perspective. Where I do not like this move is, where does he help this offense? I saw somebody saying today on national media.
And physical.
Well, he's physical, but he's a manufactured touch guy, Sills. He's not a guy that you line up on the outside like Devontae Smith next to Terry and say, I know he's going to get open. He's not that guy.
I believe that Kingsbury's that. Look what he did with Daniels, dude.
But
he's going to get him open.
Sills, Shanahan was talked about as one of the best play callers, play designers in the NFL.
I think it was an injury a year ago with him. I don't think it was.
I'm just saying, I don't think everybody's talking like Kingsbury's an upgrade from his play caller.
I didn't say upgrade. I said, but I do. I'll tell you what he did do. He made Jaden Daniels one of the top quarterbacks in the league.
That's fair. Year. That's fair. I'm not saying it's a downgrade.
I can't even name the number 2 wideout in Washington.
I can't either. I think it was Olamide Zacchaeus.
Yeah, or some dude named Brown. I mean, I don't know.
De'Ami Brown. He's fumbled versus us.
Like I said, right. You have to put him in situations, and you have to find openings for him because he's not the greatest route runner. Well, whether he was in San Francisco with Kyle or whether he's going to be with, I'll tell you this: who do you think is a better quarterback? Jaden Daniels or Brock Purdy?
Yeah, that's not even close. Just Jaden Daniels. So there's a good point there. I just wonder where Debo fits in this equation. And I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying with the gadgety type player, what does that fit with? How does that fit with, let's be real, a dual threat quarterbacks are kind of gadgety quarterbacks, right? Where they have different ways about things. They're not traditional drop back guys. So I'm curious to see how it fits. I think it's good in terms of they didn't really like. Let's be real. I know everybody talking about the big money, but they gave up a 5th-round pick for a 1-year rental in Debo Samuel. It's pretty low
It is
risk.
17. 17's awful high for a number 2. I mean, it's $6 million less than the franchise tag. That's a lot.
But still, think about it. We had a stacked roster this year, and we still had 10 million cap room. Like every team's going to have a little bit of cap room. Like I don't think it's not every team, but like a lot of times, and they have so much cap room. This isn't going to stop them from another move. I mean, nothing like that. They don't have a huge extension they have to make this offseason, so they're in a pretty good spot finance wise. So I don't think it's a bad deal from that perspective. But again, trying to be objective and viewing it from a Commander perspective. I'm trying to chase the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't view Debo Samuel as the answer to offensively to what I need. In fact, I would have looked at this team and said, I need another great target that he can throw the ball to.
Okay. But by the way, we're going to read all your supers, I promise. But here,
Debo is not that.
But wait, like I said, though, I think if you want to give Howie Roseman time to build your offseason, I think you have to do the same thing to Adam Peters in the collective group. Yes. I'll tell you this, like I said, Debo, Myles Garrett, and Mekhi Becton does make you better.
Yep, I agree.
And I think we're sitting here going in out of the combines the first weekend because they made the deal on Saturday for his ass. And people are like, that's not a transformational deal. Well, it is when you add 4 other guys to it. I'll tell you this, you know what? To me, the key is going to be for Washington catching Philadelphia. It's not about your additions unless it's Garrett. It's going to be the subtractions in Philly.
Right.
If you lose, how many of those 5 guys, and I'm going to throw Isaiah in there, or if people want to put Burks as the 5th guy on free agents.
I think Isaiah is better with Slay retiring. Or not retiring.
That was more of a need for sure, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How many of those guys, from what I'm hearing a lot of those guys, maybe as many as 4, are going to be on the open market in 9 days.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. How many do you think are going to be out there in free agency?
Out there, probably. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if all of them were out there, and it wouldn't be a good thing for the Eagles. But, you know, if I had to guess on who was coming back, I'd probably say Baun and maybe Rodgers. I mean, especially if they don't have plans to bring Slay in, they're probably going to have to bring in Rodgers. You could probably get a good deal out of Isaiah Rodgers. I could see him, and I don't see how you would let Baun go.
How about if Green Bay? How about if Green Bay, who's got money? How about if Green Bay comes in? He played in Wisconsin, and Green Bay comes in and offers him a 3-year contract to go home and play in Wisconsin, where he's from.
Yeah, look, that's not out. I'm just saying from an organizational standpoint. And Charlie says Becton. I want Becton to be back. I think Becton has a good chance.
I want them all back.
Well, I do too. And I really don't want them all. I want Becton. I want Baun. That's who I want the most. I want Baun the most. But I look at the Baun deal and I'm like, I get it, the price, all these things. Will another team give him money? I get it. All right, I get it. It's a tough go. Would you let Jalen Carter walk out of the room?
Fuck no.
Fuck no. Would you let Saquon Barkley walk out of there? Fuck no. Like, there's certain guys you look at and you're just like, no. I look at Baun after this year having the #1 defense in the NFL, being such a big part of the reason that we won a Super Bowl, and I'm like, fuck no. I don't care if it's 20 million, 22 million. He is one of the guys. I don't care. I'm paying him the money. And I don't think it's going to get that high.
I don't think Howie's going to do that. I don't think Howie's going to do that.
They're not. They're not going to go above 15 million. But I'm just saying, I don't see how you would let Baun walk. How? Why? That's what bad teams do, though, Sills.
Yes, you're right. You're right. But here then, why in the world would you let your best down lineman, defensive tackle, Milton Williams, at 25 walk out the building, and your people are talking about extensions with Jordan Davis? Jordan Davis is not a better player.
I know, but Jordan Davis is going to cost 10 mil. Milton's 25. And let's be real, I like Milton Williams.
I don't think he's getting 25.
Wait a second, though. You look at what people are paid across the NFL. You look at Milton Williams and you say that's a $25 million guy. No. And I say this with respect to Milton Williams, and I hope he gets his bag of money. You look at Milton Williams as a $25 million guy?
No way.
I don't.
Shit, I don't see him as a $20 million guy.
That's my point. And that's where other teams are going to come in.
But I don't see Jordan Davis as a $13 million guy either.
I can stomach the thought of 12 with 2 extra years and the cap hits lessen on Jordan Davis than I can 25 on Milton Williams. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but
It's double.
I'm just like Jordan at 12. All right, it is what it is. You know,
you're biting the bit on Jordan, right?
Baun, I'm ready to give some money to, man. I think Baun's earned it.
So you're going to bite
Jalen Carter at the front. If you have Zach Baun in the middle, you have Quinyon and Cooper in the secondary, and you have your safeties already under contract. Like, you're starting to see the defense come into shape. And you're like, okay, we got each level of the defense somewhat under control. Let's fill in the blanks with some free agents, some draft picks, some other selections, some cheaper guys. Now you're formulating. But if you're going to let Baun go, dude, we're going to be in no man's land talking about let's just play it out. Okay, Zach Baun signs with the Green Bay Packers on March 12th. Who the fuck are the Eagles linebackers in September?
Wait a minute. You're the champions. I'm giving you the benefit that he's going to, with Vic, make this right. Because, listen, his record the last 4 to 7 years shows he has. I wouldn't get sold on names on the back of the jersey as you are, Zander. I'd be looking at second, third, and fourth plans here where I have an option in case something goes awry here. And like you said, on the 9 days, Baun gets out there and there's a $17 million deal offered by the Packers or the Rams. Because you know what the number one thing in free agency is going to be is weakening the Rams. It's weakening the Eagles. You know how you weaken the Eagles? Get that defense off their heels.
Yeah, well, maybe I am over. Maybe
you're not wrong.
Maybe I'm too high on Zach Baun though, because look, I hear what you're saying. Where don't look at the name on the back, but as much as you can say that, you know, and 90% of players that's going to be true for. There's certain players like you don't say that about Reggie White, and I'm not saying Baun is that. I'm just saying there's always going to be certain players on any defense that you look at, and you're like, okay, that's one of the guys. Everybody else, you're right. Don't fall in love with the names in the back. Most of them are replaceable. Keep it young. Keep it organizational friendly, and keep building your team. I think Baun was so good last year. I wouldn't let him walk. I think he's Jalen Carter levels of good in terms of impact on the Eagles defense. I wouldn't let the guy go. I know. I have a hard.
28,
where are we going to be?
28 years old, and he did this one time in his career. That's what Howie's looking at.
I know, but man, I was rewatching some Eagles tape this weekend, which might sound crazy.
I think it's because you know what it does? It cements your takes on the guys you're talking about.
Right, and I was rewatching the Baun tape. Dude, it felt like every one of those defensive turnovers he was a part of. Dude, I was looking at the playoff turnovers. The defense had 11 or 12 turnovers in the playoffs. It felt like 5, 6, 7 of them were because of Zach Baun. Like every play that the defense made this year that made them the number one defense, I felt like Zach Baun was freaking involved. So I'm just having a hard time picturing moving on from him and then picturing what the alternatives are. Like if you're talking about an offseason where there's linebackers everywhere, the draft is filled with linebackers, and it's one of those, okay, maybe we can talk about it. But who's your alternative? So let's zoom ahead 9 days right now. It's March 12th, and we're on the show doing that like we are right now, and the Packers just signed Zach Baun. All right, where are we? Nakobe Dean coming off a bad injury, and who?
Now you got to overpay for Nick Bolton, or you have to draft at 32 the Bama kid.
They're not going to do that.
Okay, well then guess what? You lose. You lose that free agent.
Bro, give me Zach Baun. Just give me if you let everybody else walk, give me Zach Baun. Because we need some stability on the number one overall defense. If you're going to let that guy walk and then expect Vic Fangio to turn chicken scratch into chicken soup again and make the number one overall defense, that's just, you're not playing the odds right. I mean, come on, Vic Fangio had a great year. Are we going to ask this guy to be a magician? I mean, come on, you need to give him some guys. This guy played unbelievable. Vic brought it out of him. Give him the damn dude. I don't know. We'll see what they end up doing, but I want Zach Baun for sure. And I don't think that's homerish at all. I think the guy's a great fucking player, and he was a big part of the reason that we have a parade on Broad Street.
Homerish. All I remember is saying with John, the guy will never do that again. He'll have the greatest game in the history of games, and he did that in Green Bay. I look back on that. He did that every fucking week.
I know.
Every week he did.
Yeah, let me
that,
show you
man.
something real quick. Look at one of our great people made me. One of our great viewers.
Oh my God, that's phenomenal.
Is that dope or what?
That is absolutely.
I just got it right before I came on your show, man.
That's really
Four Reels
great.
Fishing, one of our great viewers, one of our great members sent me that.
I love that,
it,
man. By
Isn't
the way,
that cool?
we're gonna read all the super pump. We're gonna get to you here in a minute. All right, let me throw this at you here, Zander. So I'm gonna keep asking you this question.
Uh-oh.
All right. How you on that Myles Garrett deal? You know it's heating up.
It's heating up, and I'm going back. I'm like a freaking seesaw on this thing. I'm not gonna lie to everybody. I'm like a seesaw on this bitch. One day I wake up, this morning I woke up and bright and early, baby. I could smell the coffee. I was ready to attack my Monday. The first thing I thought about was, holy shit. Can you imagine Jalen Carter and Myles Garrett on the same defensive line? And man, did that sound good. But I continue to look at this and say, we're the team that won. We're the team that got over the mountaintop. I don't need Myles Garrett. I want Myles Garrett. I don't need Myles Garrett. I think I'd feel better about re-signing Baun, drafting an edge at 32, and recouping the defense that way than maybe I would feel about trading your first pick and going down the Myles Garrett route. Now, again, I told you it wakes me up in the middle of the night. The thought of Garrett and Carter, the thought of Zach Baun playing behind Myles Garrett. But I don't know, man. I don't want to blow this thing up.
It'd be the best duo in football.
It would, but this team has done so many things right. Howie Roseman, to his credit, has built this defense perfectly the last 3 years. I feel like you're throwing a little bit of a wrench in that sucker if you go for Myles Garrett. I'm not saying it won't work. I'm just saying I'm having a hard time doing it because I feel like we won the fucking Super Bowl. We did it with I'm not saying the defense is going to be the same as they were last year, but we're not in a position where we have to climb up. I'm chasing the Chiefs. I'm chasing the ghost of whatever that is. I feel like I don't need to get rid of my whole team for this dude.
You want some breaking news? Greg Schiano just texted me, the head coach of Rutgers. He's a friend of mine. Tyreen Powell. They've requested him to fly into Philly, and they're going to meet with him.
Who?
Linebacker, 6'4.5", 240 pounds. He's kind of like a guy you can use as a unicorn kind of player. He's kind of a guy you could edge rush, play out.
Is this a draft guy, draft prospect?
Yeah, draft pick.
Okay.
His name is Tyreen.
I got him. I'm seeing him, a Rutgers player. I like Rutgers. He's from Vineland. All right. Vineland's not far. Let's go, baby.
6'5", 240 pounds. And there's your guy.
6'5", 252 it has on here. That's a big boy.
Okay, and so what they're doing is they're talking about that's your replacement for Sweat. And by the way, one thing about Greg Schiano, he is a fucking recruiter.
I love that he's from Vineland, but I mean, I don't know who the guy is. I'm not going to lie to you. Tyreen Powell, never heard of him, but
he's going to be in the middle, like somewhere in the 2 and 3.
Let Josh Sweat go. Let Josh Sweat go. Let's get it. That's a guy that I.
You don't want to pay 24?
No, I don't want to pay 24. And honestly, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a little concerned about that knee as he gets older. I mean, that thing was, how many times have you said on your show, like, hey, when he looks good, man, does that guy look good? But man, he can be streaky. Like, we've seen that forever. Now, he had a good year this year, but the year before,
I thought it was too wavy. I thought he went like this, then he went like this, then he went like this. There was like a seesaw in there a little bit. And I think, you know what happened? After they went from a 4-man rotation to a 3-man, they upped his snaps again. And I thought he went like this and started going down a little bit. And then what happened? Nolan and Jalix Hunt started stepping up, and they started resting him, and his numbers went back up again. I think as he gets older, Zander, I don't think he's an 800 snap guy.
No, he's not.
Okay, I just don't think he's there. All right.
By the way, it smacked me in the face this morning that the Eagles don't really care about Milton Williams leaving. Did you know that Moro Ajomo had more snaps last season than Jordan Davis did.
Yeah, I knew that.
480 or whatever, something in that range to like 420.
Clint likes him more. Wait, no, I'm not going to say that. Clint likes the player a lot. Like I'm going to ask you the question here in a second about Davis. He's like, "Oh no, those two guys, man, they're my rotators." And I'm like, "So the 13th pick is a rotator?" And Clint goes like this to me. He goes, "Hey, I really like those two players." I'm like, "Okay." And so, we left it at that, but I mean, that didn't shock me.
I'm just saying they're not. I don't think they're worried about Milton.
I don't think they're worried about Jordan either.
Well, I don't either, but look, and here's a great example.
Let me ask you: Are you giving him an extension?
Extension? That's a different one.
$13 million.
All right, here's what I would do, because the option's coming up. So he's got till May 2nd to make the option. It's about 2 months. The option's like 2 years, or no, a year at 12.9 million or something like that. Like that. How about a Devontae Smith type deal? Extend it out, give him 3 years with the 5th year option being one of those years. Give him 34 million. All right. And you can lower your cap hits that way. You can push out the money, and you're probably only going to look at a $6 to $7 million cap hit a year for a guy. And you can keep consistency on your defensive line. He can grow next to Jalen Carter. And look, he's not a 13th overall pick, great player, but at $13 million, I think he can be a viable piece of this defense.
But I don't want to get off him. I don't want to leave. I don't want him to leave. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. So what do you think of my deal? Is that too rich?
No, you know what that shows me too, if I'm the agent and the player? We want to make this thing work. So let's just do this. We paid you money that you shouldn't have made when you're the 13th pick. And I want to keep you here. I still think he's a first rounder, like bottom where we thought initially around 20 to 25. I thought he was down there. I'm okay with his production. I do think, and I said it, I think he was instrumental in the overall connection of the defense playing and being the number one defense because, dude, he got better at the end of the year. He's just, when he plays 34% of the snaps, though, Zander, I can't go 12. So you're talking more something around 8.
Yeah.
Right? Something like that.
I'm thinking a little higher than that. But, I mean, what I do think that's good about the Jordan Davis conversation is you're not in a position – like if you're talking about resetting the market, it's like, all right, I'm out. I mean, we're not doing that. But you're talking about continuity with a guy that's been a decent contributor at $10, $11 million. Like in today's NFL, that's not crazy. That's pretty good money. That's pretty cheap, honestly.
And by the time that deal gets matured, the cap's over $300 million.
Yeah, I mean, we're just so people are clear, we're paying Bryce Huff $18 million. I mean, Jordan Davis making 11, 12 million isn't that crazy. It doesn't bother me at all. So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see what they do with him, but I will say this defensive tackle conversation coming off of what we just talked about with Moro Ojomo is interesting because it reminds me of the Slay conversation where you feel good about moving on from Milton because you look at Ojomo and you're like, hey, man, he did play 450 and he gave us pretty good snaps. You do have Jordan Davis who gave you 450. You're like, all right, I've seen something from those guys versus that corner conversation. It's like, all right, Keely Ringo, are you ready?
No way.
I don't know if you're ready.
You don't have the backups for that like you do the production.
I don't think so. That's why I want
that Booker kid was even productive.
Yeah, Booker wasn't too bad. I'd have to look up how many snaps he got, but yeah, I think he wasn't too bad either.
Do you agree that if they draft a D tackle at 32, Davis is out?
Yeah, definitely. And you know what else? If they end up doing something with the Davis contract before the draft, picking up that option or extending him or something, I don't know if they would draft DT first. I mean, they would probably go edge. Yeah.
Edge or
offensive lineman.
O-lineman.
O-lineman.
Yeah. O-lineman. Yeah. Somewhere in there. What'd you make of the I tweeted something out. Tom Brady had the worst combines in the history of combines. He's the greatest winner and potentially the greatest player in the history of the game. So don't get all sold in on what you saw this past 3 days when you're talking the combine. So you got to take everything with a grain of salt here. I mean, tape, health, interview, combine. It doesn't go combine first. I do like your point that you made last week, though. There's certain dudes in that combines. When you see a guy run a 4.2 or a 4.4 or a guy's jumping 45 vertical, you got to do something with it.
There's certain athleticism that you're willing to risk on.
You can't walk out of that. You got to try to, because look, that's what you did in the third round with Jalen Hunt, was it not?
Right, 100%. It's also what we did with Jordan Davis, though.
Yeah, but again, too, Jordan, I got a tough time with him because
he's hard to talk about because 13's way too high, but he's not a trash can player.
No, he's not.
Yeah, he's not a trash can player. He's just hard to evaluate because people put that 13 and are like, boy, he wasn't worth that. But you're right. If they took him 28, you might look at him and say, hey, he's a pretty good piece.
That's right. It'd be a great pick there. All right. So what do you think they do at 32? Or does it really come up to what happens in the next 9 days?
Well, I think you're gonna learn a lot based on what happens in free agency. I mean, I think our answer today will inevitably be different than what it will be in 9 to 12 days, 10 days because of free agency. I mean, if Baun back, how does that change things? If Sweat or Milton somehow come back, how does that change things? So I think there's a lot of moving parts, but my gut is you're picking at 32. You're not dancing in the top 10 anymore. We had a couple years there. Remember, the draft was like really fun for a couple years because we had like multiple first round picks. We were like up in the top 10.
And you got that
we had a lot of fun. We had Devontae Smith. We had Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Jordan Day. We had also AJ Brown traded in the first round. Like we had a lot of shit.
Hey, and that steal 9th pick you had too, where you got up there in the 9th pick.
I mean, you're picking 32 now, folks. So we're a little different game. So what I think is how he goes back to what makes him great, what makes this team great, and it's trenches. Now, I think what happens in free agency will dictate what side of the ball. If Mekhi Becton leaves the room,
O-line.
I'm seeing O-line. I think it's going to be O-line. If Mekhi Becton returns.
It's funny you say that, but when I go, if you lose Baun, we're still going edge, and you're not going linebacker with the top.
They're not going to spend a first-round pick on linebacker, dude.
I don't get
Even
that.
Kobe Dean in the third round was a huge one for them.
I don't get how you can look at a guy who's the best player. He's better than that kid Campbell from Iowa. And you need a top linebacker. You get him cheap at 32, which is like the top of the second round. And to get this, you're not paying him a lot of money. Instead of paying for a free agent, Nick Bolton, you got a top flight kid in there who's going to start for you right away. But no, we don't do that.
Yeah, but here's the thing. And this is where this is where the analytical nature of the front office would piss someone like you off, but I do at least understand it. Like if you draft an edge rusher at 32, okay, and he plays well, like just take for example Nolan Smith. Nolan Smith is already, based on his year last year, where he had 6.5 sacks and he had 4.5 in the playoffs, so he had 11 sacks total on the year. He's already worth $15 million on the open market. I think it's more than that, but I mean, based on what he's already done, he's worth $15 million.
I think you're high, man, with that. I think you're high.
Let me just get my point out though. So if you draft an edge rusher and he gives you there's value because it's the first round pick, you have the extra option, you're paying him cheap money versus if you draft a linebacker in the first round and they play like a first team all pro, they go to the open market, they're still only worth $15 million. So the Eagles look at it from that perspective, and they're like, the best value, the best bang for our buck is taking one of the premium positions in those first couple rounds. Also add in that they're a trench team. They believe that's why they win games. I think they're 100% correct about that. They're gonna bolster the trenches. I don't have an issue with that, but they're just not going to draft Jihad Campbell, bro. They're not. I'm telling you right now. I love the guy. I might be the biggest Jihad Campbell fan in the draft. If I were Howie, I'd probably draft Howie. I'd probably draft him. That's why I'm not Roseman, though. All right. They're not going to draft Jihad Campbell. I don't know what people want me to tell them. He's not going to take it.
I know, I get it. So you're just going to go, if you lose Baun, you're going to overpay for Bolton, right? All right. Or they're going to draft a kid in the third or second round.
You could have said they would have overpaid last year. They didn't. They got a guy on bargain. Will they find another guy on bargain, or will they overpay? I'd probably say
they're going to scour the rosters again, looking for your next Zach Baun.
They are, and the chances that they hit it are very slim, which is why we go back to our earlier conversation. Get Zach Baun under contract ASAP. All right.
It's March 3rd. Where is it?
I love your tweet. Yeah. Sileo right now over on his Twitter at Dan Sileo Show is doing every morning. The first thing he wakes up is, all right, we're 9 days from free agency and Zach Baun is still not signed. What's going on, Eagle fans? So he's stirring the pot. He's got his big wooden spoon out. It's the offseason. So, I was talking to Sills off the air, and yeah, maybe I shouldn't share the secrets, but Sileo, he's got like a nice little spoon, like a little wooden spoon that he uses in the regular season. He stirs the stew up a little bit. When the offseason goes, he gets out the big jug with the massive one. It's like Ratatouille, the way he's stirring the soup, baby. So that's Sileo right now in the offseason, stirring everything up.
Oh, man, it's absolutely so much fun. This is why I love this time of the year. Zander, we have our friend Philly 500 at the bottom of the hour. Let's read those supers, my friend. Guys, we'll get to all of them. Start firing them away. We appreciate you guys so much. Thought you guys had a great show this morning, too, by the way.
Thank you, bro. Anthony Wilson checks in. What's up, brother? JD, got to get them sacks up to 5 and 15 tackle for losses. Anthony, to me, it's less about those numbers. And I understand where you're coming from, but I want a little bit more reps. I want Vic to be able to trust him in different personnel.
You want him on third down.
Yeah, like if you can't play him in any four-man front scenarios, that's not really a guy that's going to be worth it. If he can get up to being a viable player when you have four-man fronts, then I feel much better about it. But I get what you're saying.
Yep.
You agree with that, Sills?
Oh, completely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
Brian Pump.
He's kind of like a guy who ties the defense together. Right. That's what you want him to be part of here. It's not so much about you didn't draft that guy on his production. He's never been, but the unit's been productive with him in there.
Right. Brian Pumper checks in. Zach made impact plays. TJ Edwards is Casey Matthews compared to Zach Ball. That motherfucker deserves the bag. Yes, he does. Pumper, to this morning, I put Pumper on the Hall of Fame of JAKIB bad takes for this year because basically everything Pumper said this year just didn't pan out. But that's a better one there, Pump. So this is your first one at potentially coming out of number 1 on the Hall of Fame of bad and maybe moving off that list completely, but still a long way to go.
There you go, Pump. Hey, Pump, it's okay. You're with me and Angelo last year, okay? We're in the shit take barrel. We got to work our way out of that thing.
You guys are fucking you guys are like in quicksand. You get flying out fast enough, man.
That's why this is so much fun. It's March 3rd. Where's your Zach
Your
Baun
first shitty take of the prediction of the year that Debo Samuel's a good trade for command. He's going to stink.
No, dude. In the second roll, my friend. There you go, babe. I'll tell you what. Watson, how you doing?
Hey, he had a big catch in the Super Bowl, man. I'll give up. I would upgrade that third.
You give up a third-round pick for that one play.
I don't give a fuck. That one play helped us win a Lombardi, bitch.
That victory tour, baby.
I'll upgrade to a second rounder. I don't even care anymore. Garrett Willie. Oh, no, wait. You guys missed Suo's. Suo, watch how we trade up in the 20s for Will Johnson. Oh, I don't see it. You're going to have to package.
They're going to draft 3 corners in 2 years. Come on.
It's not happening. And the other thing is they don't have the assets to move up this year.
No.
Because the way the board is, that 32 pick is just not valuable enough. Bearded Willie. I'm just confused why we released Slay before Bradbury. Wouldn't Bradbury save us more in cap? I think they're going to end up releasing both, but you're right. I don't know why Slay came
I have no idea why that guy's still on the ball team, man. I have no idea, dude. And he's a $9 million hit. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either. I think he's going to be a coach eventually. Maybe not here, but I think he's going to be a coach somewhere. I just don't know what they're
either that or he's going to work the Slurpee machine at NovaCare. I don't know what the fuck they're keeping him around for.
Yeah,
I have no idea. By the way, Philly 500 will join us at the bottom of the hour too. Hey, and I got to send you the. Oh wait, you have the info. Gary Cobb's good at 5:15.
All right, cool. All right, here we go. Mike Cannon, what's up, Mike? Big Sills, how about trading for Trayvon Walker from the Jags at edge to get better? Georgia Bulldog, who the Jags were looking to move off at the trade deadline. I like that move.
But here's the deal: what Jags want back? He's the number 1 overall pick.
Dude, it was a shit pick. They took him over Hutchinson.
I got it. I mean, you think they're going to trade him for who? Dotson and Kenny Flickett?
Dude, don't act like he's getting a Myles Garrett package. The guy's severely underdelivered as the number 1 overall pick.
I did say that's not
right.
But
that's like saying Jordan Davis.
What do you think the Jags are going to give him? They're going to go to a stupid team that's going to give them 2s.
They're not going. They're not getting.
Eagles are not going to give. Dude, I would not do this. what Brian Burns got, who's a great player, 2s and 5.
A 2 and a 5. And Brian Burns is better than Trayvon Walker. I'm not sending
By
a 2 for
far.
Trayvon Walker.
By the way, his sack totals in 2 years are not awful. They're not awful. They're not awful, dude. Okay, so, I mean, I tell you, they're not awful. But for the first pick, the Jags are going to want something back.
I'm not giving much, but I'll give you
That's
something.
what I'm saying. I'm not doing that either.
Philly Don Zander just wanted to tell you, King James watched the 365 replay. You're so cool. Thank you for showing the card he sent you. Let me show Sills that thing. So King James is one of our youngest JAKIB viewers, Big Sills, and he drew me a JAKIB guy and sent it over to the studio. So I put him in the studio. So big shout out to King James. Thank you, Philly Don. I appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you, man.
That's really
Brian
cool.
Pumper says, yeah, I'm not worried about the Commandos getting a dominatrix. Buddy is a fruitcake. Get all these humiliation rituals away from my team. All right, Pumper, you're now cooking. You're now cooking, Pump. All of a sudden, this guy is moving himself down the list.
Hey, Pump, you're now on that parade float with Zander and,
yeah, baby.
and
Come
Big
on,
Joe
Pump.
right now. You guys are on that. You guys are on that float going down Broad right now.
Pump, come on back to me, Pumper. Come on, Brian Pumper. Come on back, baby. Here we go.
Oh,
Mike Garul. What's up, Mike? Hope you're doing well, man. Sills, do you see a scenario where we don't land Garrett and all 3 defensive free agents walk? Is there a good backup plan besides the draft?
Well, yeah, Vic. Here, Mike. Mike, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt because you're the champs and Howie. And so on March 3rd, if you lose Milton and you lose Sweat and you lose Baun, where are you going? Okay. Are you going to go in free agency and sign a Dre Greenlaw or a Nick Bolton? And then you come in and you have, what's the one guy you have to replace? Well, if you get James Pierce at defensive end on the other side of Nolan Smith, I'm fucking good with that.
We're not getting him, though. Also, he's too small. I'm with John on this. I don't want all my edge rushers being undersized. I just don't. We're going to get run on.
Well, how big do you think Sweat is?
Sweat's 6'6", isn't he?
No. He's 6'4", like 255. I mean, that's what that kid is.
He's 6'5", 265.
Okay. I mean, the kid from A&M is as big as that.
Yeah, I don't know.
No,
I like Pierce. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to act like I don't like Pierce.
Listen,
but
I think his combines is going to shoot him up. I totally do.
You know who I'm really liking, bro? I would love it if he became an Eagle. Is Landon Jackson from Arkansas, dude? I like that player, man. I see instinct. He's got size, weight, can bend the edge. He's a good player. I think he's going to be a really good player in the league. We'll see, but I think he's going to be a really good player. Jason 18, what's up, brother? Missed my super from a while ago. I'll get it. What the hell, Jason? What the hell?
A lot of crying.
A lot of crying? Oh, were you crying so Sileo just brushed you off? Is that
No. There's some people in here, though, that were making stupid comments that because Jahan Dotson has a Super Bowl ring, that all of a sudden he's better than Devontae Adams or somebody.
Right, I've located his super chat from the show. Sorry, Jason. That's Sileo. The guy, he's good for a lot of things. Reading and stuff is just not. It's not his MO. I mean, look, he's a great sports talk guy. What do you want from me? I can't ask for too much.
Yeah.
Jason 18 says,
I
said, what if Eagles trade for a sure thing like they did back in 2020? They have always done that under Howie, if you include Darby as well, who maybe is a good cornerback on the trade block. It's a good question. I mean, I don't know. Who's out there?
As a corner?
Yeah. He's saying, like, when we needed a sure thing, he traded for Slay.
I would no.
Remember, we also traded for Bradbury. We also traded for guys like Steven Nelson. We've traded for a bunch of dudes. So I don't know.
This is why I said the number one option is to bring Slay back. It's not.
I want Slay back too.
Watch this. If Slay gets on the open market, Slay's the best option.
Yeah. Gabe says, do you think Slay's a Hall of Famer?
Close.
I think he's close.
I think his Eagle years have made it close.
Yeah. Look, here's the one thing. Like, Sileo always says that. We were both right this year. Like, he couldn't really stay on the field, but when he was on the field, he was a damn good player, man. He was a damn good player.
He was in the playoffs.
Dio checking in. Did Landon Jackson, my favorite too. Oh, good, Dio. I'm happy you redeemed yourself because Sileo opened you up and shredded you a little bit ago. All right? Bearded Willie checks in. I agree. I don't want to lose Baun, but Jihad Campbell screams Vic Fangio gadget defender. I do agree with that. I could see Vic Fangio loving Jihad Campbell. I just don't think they were drafting a linebacker in the first round. I mean, it's not happening.
He's a
Chauncey,
good player.
I know he is. Chauncey checks in. Last one, and then we will get to Philly 500. Chauncey says, why would Bond, who just won a Super Bowl, want to give us a hometown discount? It's his time to get paid. He's gone. I don't think it's a hometown discount. Just give him what he wants, bro. Somebody's going to pay him 15, 16, 17 million. I'll match it. I'm not letting Zach Baun walk. I'm sorry.
The only guy I've seen do a hometown discount has been Devontae Smith. That's the only guy I've seen give you guys some latitude in the contract and the way he used the option and the way he prorated that contract out for 5.
But in a way, all of them have done it. I mean, not as
because of the bag up front. Yeah,
not as blatantly as Devontae, but like even AJ Brown. Like AJ Brown didn't have to take that deal, and he probably could have waited for them to reset the market and gotten 36 million, but he didn't. He took it at 32. And
does St. Brown still make more than him?
I think St. Brown is the same, right? Mm-hmm. Which is, I mean, come on, I like Amon-Ra St. Brown, but
he's not AJ Brown.
He's not AJ Brown.
No.
I mean,
no.
Yeah, 4-year, 120. So he got 30 million.
Okay, so AJ.
Who beat him? I think CD Lamb got 35.
Yeah, and I think Chase did too.
Yeah, Chase is going to get
Yeah.
But, all right, that's all the super. Oh, one couple more. Zidler in rare form. Yo, flexing. Don't play with me, Flex. I'll come for you, bro. You're not safe, Flex. Sileo says, I like Aluafa, mate.
Yeah, the kid from South Carolina.
Braden Swinson. Yeah, I like him. It's a hard name to say, but.
Yeah, the kid from South Carolina, the DB. I think he's talking about.
All right, make sure you do your live reach because Krause's on my ass.
Hey, do me a favor. Hey, listen. Hey, Philly 500, I got to do this here. Xander, I'm not going to take a commercial break. I'm just going to do a quick one for Morgan, okay?
All right,
so we'll do that, and we'll come right back. So, hey, 5 seconds here. So, Xander, great stuff.
All right,
we'll
see
get
everybody
you tomorrow morning. All right, man. Hey, don't forget our great friends at Morgan & Morgan. This is the #1 law firm in the country. It's the #1 injury law firm in America with over $20 billion in recoveries for clients. This is what makes Morgan & Morgan the #1 law office in the country. They are there for you. Ultima and John Morgan have built this firm up to protect families around the country. I told you about the family in PA that initially was offered $650K from an insurance company. They ended up getting $26 million. In Florida, an insurance company came in and appraised it at $350K. No way. They got $12 million. Listen, if you're ever injured, do me a favor. Check out my great friends at Morgan & Morgan. For more information, go forthepeople.com/bigsills or #529. That's forthepeople.com/bigsills or #529. And do me a favor. You tell them Big Sills sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.